What if I told you that not only could you make your own e-liquid, but with a little experimenting and with the number of flavor recipes available online, you could be making even better flavors at a fraction of the cost? Well, it's true. E-liquid is made up of propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin, which we'll refer to from this point on as PG and VG. Flavoring for the most part comes suspended in PG, and nicotine, if required, can come in PG, VG, or a mix of both. Stick with me. The intended ratio of the PG and VG required in your liquid will dictate largely which mix of the nicotine shot you'll need, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. The hardest thing about making your own e-liquid is the maths, but don't worry, we've got you covered. So if you're looking to make your own liquid, it's a pretty safe bet that you've already vaped some form of e-liquid. You almost definitely started on a 50-50 mix of VG and PG, and maybe you've gone a little towards the VG side for a thicker liquid and more cloud as you've possibly upgraded your tank. 60-40, 70-30, maybe even 80-20. If so, that's fine. Getting the basics right is the most important step, and that's what we're going to do here. So let's get started with a 50-50 e-liquid to illustrate just what we're talking about. To make things easy numbers wise, we're going to make 100 milliliters of e-liquid. 50-50 is equal parts VG and PG, 50% of 100 milliliters each. So that's 50 milliliters of each to make our base. However, that's without any flavor. So we start with the VG-PG ratio we want, and we subtract and substitute. For the flavoring, we're going to go with Baker's Dozen's Lemon Tart. This is a pre-mixed one-shot concentrate, and it's perfect for starting out. Once you get more comfortable, you can really start to experiment with flavors. The VG and PG are currently making up 50% each of the liquid, and that's how we want to keep it, 50-50. Think of the flavoring like juice cordial. Some people like it strong, some people prefer it weak. This particular flavoring, however, works best at 20%. Some flavors are so concentrated that you'd only need as little as 2%, so that's something worth bearing in mind. However, this Baker's Dozen sweet spot is 20%, so that's what we're going to mix it at. As we're doing 100 mils, 20% is 20 milliliters. Also, as we said earlier, most flavors are suspended in PG, and Baker's Dozen is no exception. So we're adding 20 mils of PG flavoring. We're going to need to take away 20 mils of PG base. It's best to work this out on a piece of paper first. So now we're looking at 50 mils VG, 30 mils PG, and 20 mils flavoring. Great. If you're looking for a nicotine-free liquid, that's your recipe. Add it all to a bottle, shake it up, and you're ready to steep. More about that in a second. However, our additional final step is to add nicotine. We're not going to go crazy with the maths for this introduction, so for a 3 milligram nicotine strength, let's just accept that it's 16.7% of a finished e-liquid. So for 100 mils mix, we're going to need 16.7 milliliters of nicotine. Also, to keep things simple, we're going to be using a nicotine shot that is 100% PG. To add the nicotine at the right ratio, we need to take another 16.7 milliliters away from the PG base to make room. So finally, the recipe for a 50-50 e-liquid of Baker's Dozen Lemon Tart with a nicotine strength of 3 milligrams is 50 mils VG, 13.3 mils PG, 20 mils flavoring, and 16.7 mils nicotine at 100% PG. Now we have those numbers to make 30 milliliters of this, so pretty much a third. All you need to do is take all those numbers and divide it by 3.3. That gives you these. I mentioned earlier about steeping. Most fruit style flavors such as lemon, peach, strawberry and raspberry, they tend to be ready to vape straight away and are commonly referred to as shake and vape. However, the more cake and dessert flavors like Victoria Sponge, strawberry trifle and the lemon tart we're using here, they require a little bit of time for the flavor to develop in the liquid. Steeping is simply mixing your recipe and leaving the bottle in a warm place for a few days, or even a week or two if you have the patience. Some flavors can oversteep, but in general, the longer you leave them, the fuller the flavor will be. One thing to bear in mind is that even with shake and vape recipes, if the nicotine hit doesn't seem strong enough once you've mixed it, nicotine can sometimes benefit from a steeping period too. I promise, once you get the hang of it, it's simple. It's just a case of getting your head around the ratios.